Nearly 2 years after the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is retracting a false claim in her book that Joe Biden did not check his watch during the dignified transfer of 13 troops. We all saw it. It comes as the House Foreign Affairs Committee questioned Psaki behind closed doors this week and led to her promising to apologize to Gold Star families. Florida Congressman Michael Waltz sits on that committee, and he joins us now. You were in that closed-door discussion. Was there contrition? Was there a sense that, hey, we got this wrong? Or is this all sort of begrudging and forced by Psaki and others?
Well, Pete, at first, her explanation was that, she didn't intend to contradict the parents, that she was trying to give the president honest feedback that talking about his son, Beau Biden, with these poor, devastated Gold Star families wasn't very welcome. Chairman McCall pressed her. I pressed her as well, and I pointed out, I said, Ms. Psaki, this wasn't just a mistake, missing a date or missing a figure. You publicly contradicted multiple parents who saw the president repeatedly checking his watch. And, doing that on top of the president in the debate saying there was no casualties on his watch, on top of the State of the Union incident, said you keep ripping the scab off of these poor parents' wounds. She eventually, Pete, said, I'd like to extend an apology through you, Chairman McCall, who was there. And I said, well, I've got one better. I'll put you in touch with the parents. Why don't you apologize to them directly? They need to hear from you. They need to heal. And I want to say this isn't some kind of gotcha moment. This isn't a partisan thing. This is the right thing to do as fellow Americans. Help these families heal. And I hope she follows through. I really pray she does.
Yeah, let us. I hope she does as well, sincerely, because this is an issue that, while it's moved past the headlines for so many, it's a stain on our nation. And for those that lived through it and lost people, I spoke to a Gold Star family from one of the 13 at the RNC. This is still raw. It is still very real, and it still is a huge hit on our reputation, which is why it's pretty important when Vice President Kamala Harris is sort of in. This is a flashback shot from 2021. She's talking about how she was one of the last people in the room with Joe Biden to make the decision about the withdrawal in Afghanistan. Let me play this soundbite and get your reaction.
President Biden always said that he wants you to be the last person in the room, particularly for big decisions, just as he was for President Obama. He just made a really big decision, Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable?
I do.
Somehow, Colonel, they're going to find a way to tell us she wasn't the last person in the room, didn't have a decision to make, but clearly she was a part of making this call.
And what was that decision? That decision was to pull all of our military out first, to close down Bagram Air Base, to leave Americans behind. By the way, that figure has been revised from about 100 that Jen Psaki was saying to almost 1,000, leaving our allies behind that are being hunted down as we speak and allowing terrorism to reconstitute and grow. She owns that. The Gold Star community, the veterans community, those of us electeds that were screaming from the rooftops, don't do this, and President Trump are not going to let her forget it. She absolutely 100% owns this disastrous debacle of a decision that future Americans are going to have to pay for.
Colonel, in addition, this decision is one thing. What is your sense of what a foreign policy would be of a Harris administration?
Well, it's clearly going to be a proud continuation on her part of open borders, number one. And number two, it's going to be, look, at the end of the day, America is not a force for good. America needs to be apologized for. And how can we find some type of concession, something that we can give to get the other side to the table? Our enemies, our adversaries like the Ayatollahs, Putin, Xi, they've got to be licking their chops right now. They think this is going to be even better for them than Joe Biden. This is a very, very dangerous moment, Pete, as the media just whitewashes all of these decisions that she 100% owns as vice president, as she proudly said, as the last person in the room before they're made.
It's an extension of Biden, which is an extension of Obama. You're right. It's a self-loathing, blame America first foreign policy that has to stop. Congressman Michael Waltz, thanks for staying on top of those 13 in Afghanistan and for everything you're doing. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
All right,
Pete.
you got it. Let's toss it over to Charlie.